kind of experience, this kind of falling in love, having somebody she's just passionate about, somebody who's just digging on her, that's really the.
It was a day that should have been like any other boring gray, a wind moving the dust along the gravel roads of Coyote Pass. But something was in the air, something that bothered you, the type of feeling you get when you know the truth's going to be revealed, and it won't be pleasant outside a tent set up just off the incomplete land the Brown family had once envisioned as home. Kody paced by himself. The man who had once filled a room with confidence now resembled one who was on fumes. His eyes frayed, his hair disheveled, his arms crossed as if he was attempting to keep himself together. And when Janelle entered cool and calm, the heaviness of all that was wrong in this family entered with her. If you've been watching Sister Wives for years, then you likely recall how it all began with a grand dream, a large family, and a husband who vowed to love and guide them all. But dreams evolve, so do individuals, and sometimes when you look back, you see the fissurers were present. The entire time you just didn't want to notice. This is not a polygamy or TV drama story. It's about what happens when promises are violated, when voices are not heard, and when the individuals who once shared a life together start to drift so far apart that they can hardly recognize each other. How did such a family with so much in common end up here? What was happening behind the cameras when they weren't on? And why did so many people get such an odd feeling of relief, perhaps even justice, when Janelle laughed at last? For some, that laugh was a one-liner. For others, it was a breaking point, a moment of subtle resistance, of regaining one's pride after all these years of being shut up. Christine was already gone. Mary was slipping away quietly. And Janelle, she wasn't mad, she was finished. The tension among the wives, the favoritism towards Robyn, the distance between Kody and his kids, it had all culminated in this moment, and as the season played out, the viewers reacted in waves. Some cheered, some wept, many simply nodded and said, "It's about time." But for Kody, the unraveling wasn't private, it was public. His attempts to revise the past, to characterize Robyn as his true love, to erase decades of common life with his other wives. None of it came as hoped, particularly not with the children. Gabriel, Garrison, Leon, Maddie, Pian, the names hold more than familial obligation. They hold heartache, disillusionment. And in some instances, silence. Mending those bonds is no easy feat. And after all that's transpired, perhaps it is too late. Despite this, some of the children, such as Aspen, such as Logan, have left the door ajar, whether Kody steps through with humility or defensiveness. That is a matter for another time. And then there's Robyn, the surviving wife, the one who, for better or worse, finds herself entangled in the wreckage of a dream that didn't pan out. Is she the villain the internet demands, or merely another human being drawn into a narrative that went spiraling out of hand? These are complicated questions, but perhaps that's what this saga is all about. Not the drama, but the gritty humanity of it all. The pain, the hope, the errors, and the glimpses of grace. It's about families breaking and struggling, however imperfectly, to mend. So grab a warm drink, settle in, and let's take a closer look at the season that changed everything. Because this time, Sister Wives wasn't just a show, it was a reckoning. And whether you've been watching from the start or just now catching up, trust me, you'll want to hear how it all unfolded. The gravel roads of Coyote Pass stretched out under the long shadows of late afternoon while heavy storm clouds gathered above. Flagstaff casting a sense of unease over the land, a production assistant's voice crackled through a headset. "We're rolling." "In 32, they said, clutching a clipboard within a temporary filming tent. Kody Brown paced anxiously. Established not far from the yet empty Brown family lots. His tent was less like a sanctuary and more like a pressure cooker. Disheveled was his hair. Wild-eyed with panic, lost was the man who once commanded attention. Now he appeared to be a man on the cusp of losing it all again. A few seconds later, Janelle Brown showed up. Her movements were slow and deliberate, like she knew precisely what she was stepping into. Her glasses mirrored Kody's nervousness, and her short blonde hair was blown back by the wind as she gave him a serene but insistent smile. That smile by itself unnerved him before a word was even uttered. Kody crossed his arms over his chest and growled, "This meeting was your idea." "Oh, it was." Janelle responded smoothly, taking off her sunglasses like she was entering a courtroom and already had an idea of the verdict. Don't forget to like this video if you're keeping up with the drama. There was a momentary pause. Nobody knew they were about to film one of the most memorable moments in the history of Sister Wives. A subtle cue from the producers instructed the cameras to roll. "I've been doing some thinking." Janelle started her tone even and smooth about how you made faith, fear, about how you required obedience and devotion, and about how you allowed Robyn to rule until the entire family just imploded. Kody winced. "You have no idea what you're saying?" "Oh, but I do," she replied with a knowing smile. "Can't you see? You discarded us all over a woman who gradually allowed your children to slip away from her one by one." "Don't say that about Robyn," Kody exclaimed, his voice rising. But Janelle didn't flinch. Instead, she let out a genuine laugh, not mocking, too. Not cruel. It was the kind of laugh that comes when someone finally lets go of years of frustration. It filled the tent with a raw honesty that couldn't be ignored. "You still believe Robyn's innocent." She said, "You still believe you're the victim." She cocked her head. "Kody, you were the storm, and now you're standing in the wreckage wondering who brought the wind." His face reined, and the cameras recorded every moment of it. "My God," a producer breathed off camera later in an editing room. In LA, raw footage was watched for the season finale on screen. Robyn Brown sat alone in the confessional. She wept into her hands, mascara streaming down her face. "I did everything I could," she cried. "I was meant to be loved by them I didn't ask for. This they left us, but something wasn't quite right." Her voice trembled, seeking sympathy, but none was offered. One of the editors folded arms. Finally spoke what many were probably thinking: "She's attempting to gaslight the viewers." One producer grumbled, eyes fixed on the screen. "This entire scene just doesn't feel right." After everything she's done, manipulating Christine, driving Janelle apart from her children, emotionally leaving Mary behind, it doesn't ring true. There was a painful silence in the editing room. Then the showrunner's voice came in a hushed tone. "Cut it. That last scene's gone." "You sure?" another editor asked. "That's the big emotional beat." The showrunner's head shook. The real emotional moment is Janelle laughing in Kody's face. That's truth. That's fairness. It's what stays when the episode was finally true. Like what stays when the episode was finally aired. It was nothing less than electric. Viewers who'd watched Sister Wives navigate years of heartache and dissolving family bonds gasped. Janelle's laughter didn't just ring out. It boomed. It went viral, clippable, and shareable on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook immediately. It was a release, a flash of empowerment for anyone who'd ever been steamrolled by someone else's story. Christine shared the video on Instagram with the caption, "That's my girl." Mary, forever more inscrutable, posted a story with a quote, "When laughter breaks chains, let it echo loud," along with a little bright emoji. It was understated, but the message rang out in no uncertain terms. As for Kody, the reaction was swift. His direct messages clogged with bad marks, and while TLC's social media moderation team manned the post at double time, it was obvious the audience had picked their favorite, and it wasn't Kody or Robyn. Robyn's seething behind the scenes didn't take it so well on a post-season shoot. She was said to have stormed off the set when she learned that her tearful confessional had been edited out. One of the staff heard her shouting, "They made me the villain. My voice is being erased," she shouted. One of her assistants, clearly tired of it all, shrugged and muttered under her breath, "You wrote the script, Robyn." While all this was happening, Janelle was flourishing. A few weeks later, she was sitting on stage at a panel interview in Salt Lake City. She seemed radiant, confident, peaceful, and absolutely herself. When a fan asked what had become of that laugh, she answered with a candor that filled the room. "I didn't laugh because it was hilarious." She said, "I laughed because for the first time I wasn't scared of him anymore." The audience burst out into applause. That gap continued to resound for a long time after entertainment. Blogosphere unpacked each moment of her showdown with Kody. Tokestars lip-synced her dialogue podcast, termed it the most satisfying takedown in reality TV history, but back in Flagstaff behind a locked door in a darkened luxury rental, Robyn seethed away when the demure, misunderstood iteration of herself. The public had come to know now she stalked the room in fuzzy slippers hair, disheveled lips, pinched together.
Just kind of said, because you said that you couldn't love a person the same way.
Are we supposed to go?
Speakerphone conversation to a producer. I constructed this family with him, she declared, and they're making it into her redemption tale. The producer attempted to level the call. We still have lots of film of you and Kody together, they reassured her, but the network is considering tougher storylines. Janelle's tale resonated. People crave reality. Robyn snorted reality. This is reality, being a member of this family. I gave up everything, Robyn muttered to herself, gazing at her phone blankly. I was the only one who held out. Where's my payoff? The call with the producer was over without any result. Her hands trembled as she opened Instagram on her phone. The screen was full of videos of Janelle's viral laugh, some using circus background. Music, others labeled with such sentiments as Kody and Robyn's empire falls, but instead of compassion, Robyn was given cold reality. The comments section was vicious, a look at how the viewers actually perceived her. It wasn't complimentary, not even. Remotely, she let go of the phone. Kody entered soon after. They're taunting us, Robyn exclaimed, her voice rising, her eyes blurring with tears. They cut me short. The network's allowing this to happen. We need to contact them. Stop it, Kody pressed his fingers to his temples. I've tried. They're not picking up. Meanwhile, at TLC headquarters, tension filled the air. Executives huddled in a closed-door meeting, reviewing ratings and whispering over legal paperwork. Yes, viewership was up, but so were concerns. Christine, Janelle, and even Mary were reportedly exploring a tell-all project with no involvement from Kody or Robyn. They're seizing the moment, one marketing executive said. But seriously, the fans are with them. Robyn's popularity had plummeted. Kody's wasn't far off. Then came the plan. We have to pivot now. The showrunner instructed, if we're going to keep Sister Wives alive, we rebrand. A new title was discussed. Sister Wives reclaimed the emphasis. Christine, Janelle, and the adult kids. Someone mentioned Kody. We invite him to make a cameo, was the response. If he agrees, fine. If not, we proceed. In Utah, Mary sat on her bed going over a contract from an independent production firm. Her plot had been relegated to the background for a long time, but all of that was set to change. This new team wasn't merely seeking her presence, they were seeking her truth. The emotional distance, the manner in which Robyn had whispered quietly to Kody, the text Mary discovered between them. All the hints of manipulation she'd overlooked for so many years. She closed the laptop softly and took a deep breath. I kept silent for too long. Then she grabbed her phone, not to call Kody, not the network. She texted Janelle, Mary here. If you're willing, I'd like to sit down, not for TV, just the two of us. I think we both have more to say throughout the state. Robyn was falling apart. Days had gone by since she'd departed the home. Her face was naked, her voice as she made a video directly off her phone, no filters, no editing. I was not perfect. She spoke through tears, but I love this family. I never tried to hurt anyone now. It's like I did not even exist. She posted, then closed the comments. Quiet ensued. Within the space of an hour, her phone was ringing. It was the network. Take it down. You're under contract. But Robyn did not budge. She stared straight at the camera and spoke quietly. You wanna villain? Fine, I can be one. And the story did not end there. Whispers circulated. Kody Brown had been quietly rewriting history in order to safeguard his ego and reputation. But the truth was catching up on him. His previous wives, Mary, Christine, Janelle, and even Robyn, had initially attempted to prove that plural marriage was possible with the right foundation. But Craig didn't really emerge until season 16, although the show had been on for 19 seasons. First to officially depart was Christine, then Mary, then Janelle, and though their exits weren't necessarily surprising to longtime viewers, they took a toll on Kody. Nowadays, he and Robyn are still together in what is now a monogamous relationship, but the dust from those shattered attachments still hasn't settled. Kody has fought to regain any semblance of normalcy since the breakups. Even though the warning signs were apparent to the majority of the fans, he frequently seemed taken aback. by how everything transpired, rather than taking responsibility for his role in the deterioration of these relationships. Kody has instead retold the story A1, where he portrays himself in a much more sympathetic role. His worst revelation that, other than Robyn, he says he never really loved any of his wives. That confession, televised for everyone to witness, was like a gut blow. Not only to the women he spent decades with, but also to the viewers who watched those relationships unfold, evolve, and ultimately break. Numerous fans perceived it not only as his attempt to tell his truth, but also as another means of hurting the women who stood by him on the one-on-one specials with Sister Wives, Season 19. Kody glowed about how he met and fell in love with Robyn, even though he already had 3 wives. Then, on a TikTok video posted by TLC, Kody recalled the moment they exchanged glances at church. He said it was magnetic, something he couldn't tear his eyes away from. The connection was so strong, Robyn explained, that it felt like a lightning bolt ran through the room. When they both recounted this on the air, Kody's eyes welled up with tears as he told host Sukanya Krishnan, "When God is your wingman, you can't lose." Kody said he savored every second of that first moment. Christine tellingly has indicated that her own initial encounter with Kody shared a good number of the same details, but that portion of the narrative has taken a back seat. Kody's retelling downgrades his other marriages as less significant, less magical, by fashioning his romance with Robyn in such a hyperbolic, almost fairy tale manner. It shadows the years he spent with Mary, Janelle, and Christine. He implies that what he feels with Robyn is something he never felt before, something more. It's an easy message, but an influential one. They weren't as special, they weren't Robyn. Whether or not he knows it, it's just another means of belittling those earlier relationships. And to many, it seemed like one more turn of the dagger. Kody later admitted that his bold declaration that he never loved his other wives was said in anger. He described it as a reaction to the emotional turmoil he was going through, but even with that walk back, the sentiment lingered throughout the season. He repeatedly returned to the same refrain: "Out of all my wives, I've only ever loved Robyn." Then he'd pull it back again. "I don't know what I was thinking." He said during a different segment of an interview, "I was just super angry. I loved all 3 of them. I did." Words carry weight, however, and for many, and probably for his ex-wives, those words couldn't be taken back in those same one-on-one interviews. Another subject arose: Kody's history. He told a personal anecdote of his college days, revealing that only Mary and Robyn had been informed about his first time. He said that because he and Mary were young and very close at the time, he had confided in her, and with Robyn, he said she just knew to inquire about it. Her instincts told her, and he was comfortable enough to share it with her. He quoted the familiar refrain: "He didn't feel safe with Janelle or Christine," again and again. Kody emphasized how safe and understood he felt with Robyn, making that the implicit comparison to softly cast his previous marriages in less warm, less intimate terms, intentionally. Or not. What he said was that Robyn was the one genuine partner and the others were just chapters along the way. After being confronted with increasing pushback from his former wives, Kody started saying that falling in love with Robyn had been painful, because it revealed to him how dysfunctional his other marriages had been. What he failed to understand, though, was that the responses he received from Mary, Janelle, and Christine weren't extreme or abnormal. Any woman would feel betrayed in their position. It is here in his twilight years that Kody still attempts to repair his relationships with most of his adult children, a process that is tenuous and far from over. For 3 decades, Kody shared his polygamous home with his 4 wives, Mary, Janelle, Christine, and Robyn, and fathered 18 kids. For years, he was regarded as patriarch of the family, but eventually things changed. Gradually, but increasingly, he began favoring Robyn over the others. That change didn't just play out in his marriages. It altered the dynamics of the entire family. As Kody became more engrossed in Robyn, his other relationships started to crumble. Mary, Christine, and Janelle each reached their breaking point and decided to walk away. The outcome: a broken family and A father many felt had turned his back on those who once stood by his side over the course of the past few seasons of Sister Wives. We witnessed those cracks close up. Kody fought with Janelle over property at Coyote Pass. He informed Mary that he'd never loved her in the first place, and he accused Christine of being a betrayer. Even his relationship with Robyn wasn't always compatible, though she claimed she'd be willing to go along with restoring their plural marriage if it could actually work. This time, Kody acknowledged that he no longer had an interest in being part of a polygamous relationship whatsoever. By season 19, Kody and Robyn had settled into a seemingly monogamous, stable life, though many questioned the price, but it wasn't. Only his ex-wives who'd become estranged. Kody had also grown apart from most of his adult children over the years, with the COVID-19 pandemic raging at its peak. Fans saw the tension unfold in real time. Kody laid down strict guidelines on what he expected the family to do while in lockdown, but sons Gabriel and Garrison, both of whom were living with Janelle at the time, disobeyed his strict guidelines. That fight escalated. Kody was so angry that he demanded Janelle's evict the boys from the house. The repercussions caused severe long-term tension, and in a lot of ways, those father-son relationships never really recovered. It didn't end there. Peyton, Christine's son, had issues with Kody as well, especially with the way he had treated his mother. Peyton and some of his siblings eventually broke off contact with him altogether, citing what they perceived as controlling and egotistical behavior. Aspen, Christine's daughter, apparently asked Kody point blank why he appeared to dislike her. The question went unanswered. Leon, Mary's only child, also pulled away from Kody due in part to his views and what Leon saw as a lack of support. And then there's Maddie, once close with her father. She too has grown distant, along with several of her siblings. For many of Kody's children, the wounds have been deep and slow to heal. Then, in March 2024, disaster hit Kody and Janelle's baby son. Garrison died. The grief was overwhelming, and it rocked Kody to his foundation. That tragic experience altered something within him. For the first time in a long time, Kody started rethinking his decisions, not only as a spouse, but as a parent. Season 19 of Sister Wives caught some of that change. Kody, clearly altered by sorrow, started to make genuine attempts to connect with his children. He told us he wanted to reconnect, to be a more loving, present dad. It was a step in the right direction. But unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Kody has been successful in repairing his relationships with all of his children. On the contrary, some have publicly stated they no longer have any relationship with him, Christine's son. Peyton has made his stance particularly clear, both on television interviews and on platforms such as TikTok. He's been outspoken regarding his disapproval of Kody, and he stated more than once that their father-son relationship is not likely to ever be restored. Then there's Maddie. Although she hasn't publicly denounced Kody, her silence is deafening. By remaining silent on their current relationship, she's indicated that repairing those connections might not be a priority for her. Kody also appears to be distant from Leon and Gabriel. While some of that can be contributed to his busy lives for adults, there doesn't seem to be a great deal of effort from either party to reconcile. There might be some glimmers of hope, however. Aspen, Christine's daughter, has been demonstrating a certain amount of compassion in the past. She asked Kody outright if he liked her, something that indicated that she still cared on some level. She might be willing to heal that relationship. However, though she is understandably guarded, particularly given the way her mother and brothers were treated. Melt, one of Christine's daughters, has been more diplomatic in her approach. She's remained calm during the family drama, and since she appears to prefer calmness over conflict, she may be one of the few who would sit down with Kody and discuss things. Logan, the eldest of all the Brown children, is also a person who can possibly reconnect. He's well noted to be a private and mature individual, and that emotional space could actually prove useful for him to arrive at a middle ground, one where he keeps respectful boundaries, but still leaves space for reconciliation. But let's be honest, Kody's deep bond with Robyn has clearly played a major role in how things have unraveled. It's fair to say that her presence in his life has caused friction, especially between him and his Older children still, it wouldn't be entirely accurate to lay all the blame at Robyn's feet. Yes, she was part of the shift, but the real issue lies in how. Kody handled things his own decisions, how he had treated the former wives, how he had favored one home over the others, how he had alienated the kids who had once looked up to him. Those are the underlying